Hey, hi. I am River Lightbearer, owner of River Evolutions Healing, Channeling, and Coaching, here to help you create and evolve into your best life with my beautiful assistant, Mooney, who has decided to um, refuse to leave my room. And that's her choice, which leads into today's topic because I wanted to talk to you about choice. We as humans have a tendency to say things like, I have to do this, I can't do that, I have no choice. We have choices. What we usually mean when we say, I have to do this, isn't this is the only possibility. It's this is the only thing I can do that doesn't lead to consequences I don't want, or that leads to the result I'm hoping for, or something along those lines. Um, Same thing with can't. I can't do that usually means I don't like the possible consequences of doing that. And I have no choice is usually flat out wrong. It means I don't have another option that is tolerable for me, or I don't have another option that I can deal with the consequences of or the results of. Um, and I mean, there may be times when there's literally no choice, but those times are far, far fewer and further between than the way that we talk about choice would let on. Free will is one of the paramount qualities we possess. We were created with the ability to make our own decisions, to make our own choices, to follow our own paths. It's a good idea, in my opinion, to make choices and follow a path that doesn't lead to harming anyone, yourself or others. But that doesn't mean that there's no choice. If I look at option A is going to lead to harm to somebody and option B isn't, I can't say I have no choice because there's option A and option B. But I'm not going to choose option A because that would lead to harm. It isn't that there's no choice, it's that I'm choosing the one choice that actually gives me the result I want, which is to cause no harm to anyone. This was something that I have worked so hard to learn and apply in my own life because I grew up in a home where I felt powerless. I felt like I I felt like I didn't have a choice because of the responses of the adults around me if I made certain choices. Um, I was taught that I was powerless. I was taught that choice was not a thing and that I had better do what I was told. And I grew up and I went through school. And if you are at all familiar with the public school system of the United States, you know that free will isn't something that's encouraged. And then I married into an abusive situation where, again, I felt like I had no power. And honestly, I credit my current husband a lot with my understanding of free will and free choice because every time I would say to him, "Oh, well, I have to do what you want me to do. I don't have a choice." He would get a little bit irritated with me and point out that, "Yes, you do have a choice. Here's the other choice. You might not like it. You might not like the consequences, but you do have a choice." And I worked really hard to internalize that because if you've experienced trauma, abuse, anything along those lines, you know how horrible it feels to believe that you don't have the power and you don't have the choice in your own life. And part of my healing journey required me to recognize and own the power that I actually have. And sometimes I do still find myself saying, well, I have to do that. I don't have a choice. But I catch myself at it now and I pull myself back and I say, wait a minute. Let's take a look at this. What are the choices here? Okay, so the choices are A, B, and C. All right, well, A isn't a valid choice because of this reason, and C really wouldn't work for me. So I'm going to choose B, but I'm going to choose. I'm not going to look at it and say there is no choice. I'm not going to look at it and say I have to. I'm going to choose. I am going to exercise my choice to choose. We were created to be able to make our own choices and decisions. Free will is something we all have. Maybe fate and destiny are a thing. I know in some belief systems they absolutely are. But even within those confines, you still do have a choice. You can break out of that. We have power within ourselves to make the choices that we want to make for our lives. And sometimes it will appear that we don't have a choice because of the consequences. Freedom of choice, freedom to make choices, free will, does not absolve us from consequences. That's something a lot of people seem to be forgetting in this pandemic. I'm free to not wear a mask. Well, yeah, you're free to not wear a mask, but that doesn't mean that you're free to be allowed to breathe on other people. You might get banned from stores or get a fine depending on where you live. So it is important as you're learning to recognize your power to choose and to embrace that power, to remember that freedom to choose doesn't mean freedom from consequences. Actions have consequences. And so when you're saying, I don't have a choice, you might be looking at it as, okay, I know what the consequences of this option are, and I really don't want to deal with those consequences. So this is the only valid choice for me. But I encourage you to remember that you have a choice. I had a choice about whether to throw the cat out or let her stay on the bed behind me and take her bath while I was recording this video. I am questioning that the choice that I made at this point in time because she's really distracting me. But, I had a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice about whether you're watching this video. You have a choice about whether you believe what I'm saying. You have choices in your life. Embrace that power. Embrace the power that you have to make choices. I really encourage you and invite you to work to eliminate phrases like I have no choice or I have to or I can't. And try to look at it as I have choices, but there's only one that doesn't lead to consequences that I don't want. Or I could do this one thing, but I prefer to do the other thing because the other thing is less harmful. Whatever the case may be, I invite you to remember that you do have choices and to examine what those choices are, even if they don't seem valid for you or viable for you. And, embracing that power and recognizing that you can choose is one of the biggest steps on a healing journey. You can't create the life you want to live if you believe that you can't choose to create it. So that's my thoughts for this week. Um, I am attempting to do these videos once a week. I'm posting them on Thursdays. And my goal in having this channel is to encourage you, invite you, make you think about ways that you can create and evolve and grow into the life that you really want to live. So if you have thoughts or questions, please leave a comment below. If you're interested in seeing what else I have to say, please subscribe to the channel. I would really love that. And I will be back next week. Right now, I am going to choose to open the door and let the cat out of the room. And meanwhile, take care.